Hey, I'm the composer and poet Andrew Lloyd Fry, and this is the poem Explained, and the poem is called Piano Lessons from my book, A New Kind of Air. So this is the very first poem in the book, and I felt like it was a really good introduction to what I was talking about and just the thematic themes that kind of encapsulate this book. So all of the poems have a little bit more of a narrative arc than my first book of poetry and just in general what's normal for poetry books. And the first section is more setting the scene, and the second section of poems is kind of like reflecting, and then part 3 is like the resolution to the situation. So the situation is my wife going through a season of really, really intense health issues. And this first poem is just like dropping you right in the middle of that. So it's almost like starting a movie and action's already taking place, and it's cutting in, and you're kind of trying to figure out what's going on. So in this particular poem, it's a poem about me leaving and going to work. So I'm a piano teacher, and the whole time it's just kind of like I'm thinking about, is my wife okay at home? And it's like I'm trying to get through this lesson. Doing this right now feels very unimportant and not very meaningful when this other situation is going on. So that's kind of like the context. That's like what this poem is talking about. And then there's some lines in here that I wanted just to kind of like go into and give a little more context for. So there's this line: thumbs on C and F, everything else will take care of itself. The thumb notes are the guide. So in piano, in lessons, you learn scales, and this is talking about the C scale. And on the C scale, you put your thumb on C and F. So this is like a line, I've been teaching lessons for a long time, that I've said just hundreds and hundreds of times to my students. And someone asked me recently, well, let me back up. So thumbs on C and F, it's like this is scale instruction. And you need to put your thumb on the C note on the piano and the F note on the piano. And that's like the finger pattern is really important. And so I hope that's clear. So someone asked me recently, okay, in this poem, that seems like a symbolic, it feels like there's meaning there. Like, what are you trying to communicate? Obviously, you were actually saying that, but what is the, what are the thumb notes that we apply to our life? Or, what's like the deeper meaning? And the answer was, I don't have one. So it definitely feels like a phrase rich with symbolic meaning, but I'm not clearly saying thumb in our life, the one thing we need to get right, the thumb notes equals this and everything else will work out. And I kind of like that. I like that it feels rich with meaning, but in this particular case, that's just what I said. And I think there's a lot of like space for the reader to derive meaning from that or not. It's not a right or wrong, but I like that potential was there for that line. Okay. Anything else? I think that's it. So I'm just going to go ahead and read the whole poem. Again, this is from my book entitled A New Kind of Air, and this is the opening poem called Piano Lessons. I was afraid to leave you here, to leave you on the couch when it was time. And when I was away, my mind wasn't there. And when I said thumbs on C and F, I was thinking of you. Thumbs on C and F, and everything else will take care of itself. The thumb notes are the guide. And the child played up and down the scale, almost like a circle, almost like my mind, loop after loop. as if the child had been commissioned for the soundtrack of my worry.